anything that is core to your day-to-day business should not be outsourced if possible.
Know your customers. Every brand success is at the feet of the customers. There's no other game.
Social media is a very false perception of reality. While it's great, it democratizes information, it gives you all access to so many amazing stories. I think it does not talk about the other side enough. The last and final and most important metric is what is my ROAS? How much money did I spend for how much revenue? You got to find that one channel that really your customer resonates with or cares, that you are adding value. That's outside of what everybody else is using. If you use what everybody else is using, there's a limited inventory available. Costs will be higher than everywhere else, and so you will face that same challenge of rising CAC. And something I had the good fortune of learning when my first job out of college was at a private equity fund, right? I had not studied finance in college. I studied politics in college. And so when I went to this private equity fund, I understood there is a big difference between primary and secondary. Who knows the difference between primary and secondary in terms of shares and in terms of investment in a company? No one? Yeah. Okay. You know it. You know it. Yeah. I guess you guys obviously know it, right? Like you do this on a daily basis. Yeah. Gaurav knows it as well. So look, you read about all these examples of unicorns, etc., all of that, right? And you say, okay, the company's value is $1 billion. And the first thing that we end up doing is, founder owns 10%. So 10% into 1 billion means $100 million means that guy is worth 800 CR. No. That $100 million investment that's gone in the company at the $1 billion valuation has gone in the company. And so that is what I call primary investment. Secondary is what I eventually got, where the money didn't go into my company. My investor bought my shares in the company, and so I got paid out, or my family got paid out, right? And so I think wealth is created only when you have an outcome that leads to secondary. Now there are three types of situations when that happens. The first type, and sort of the most common for early stage business, is acquisition. When someone buys out your company, they buy your shares in the company, they buy your investor shares in the company, and they pay you cash. That's what happened to me. I didn't have any investors other than my investor. Everybody else was my family on the cap table. The second outcome, which is the most rare but the best outcome for everybody involved, is an IPO. Right? When you have an IPO, you guys who have read sort of IPO documents would see this thing called OFS, offer for sale. When you're going IPO, then you offload some shares of the existing shareholders in the company onto the public market. That's the second time. And then once a company is public, then you can obviously, under certain guidelines, rules, etc., freely sell your shares on the market. The third is, in usually a Series B or a Series D or a Series C round, the incoming investor wants to what they call clean up the cap table. And so they kick out people like me, early stage investors, angels, and they give you a return. And in some cases, this was happening a lot in 21, 22. I can tell you it's happening much less now. In some cases, founders are also able to take out capital or wealth at this position. So that's the three ways that founders can do secondary. Every time money goes into a company, lots of people think the founder becomes very rich and wealthy. Actually, the founder is running faster on a treadmill and has no time to spend that money on personal things.
Nice. Yeah, you can.
It was just a crazy environment in 21 and 22, right? Where just lots of money was pouring into businesses. I think investors were also sort of feeling the bubble that was created and investing much faster and with much lesser metrics in mind, etc. All of that. It is, I would be honest and confess, a much harder investment environment today. And so people are thinking much more. And I think founder secondary early is actually not a good incentive. Because once the founder loses incentive to build the business and make that outcome, like once I sold my business, I had the option of keeping 10% and remaining in the company. But at the age of 29, with the kind of capital that I had made, I would not be actually, I chose not to stay, but even if they made me stay, I would be a much different person from the really hungry person that I was, who had sort of 65, 70% in my company.
What is the kind of valuation? It's a kind of rocket science now, right? It changes year on year. Earlier it was something else, and now what's the current trend? How does a D2C brand gets valued?
Yeah, I would say again depends on a lot of things, including gross margin, growth velocity, category, contribution margin, marketing ROAS. But if I was to broadly tell you where the numbers are today, it's as low as 2 times sales and as high as 5 times sales. Above that doesn't happen. We were in a market where I was fortunate to sell my business at 7 times sales, but that's not happening for some time
Anytime
now.
soon. Nice. Can you throw some light on Bootstrap? Is it possible to build a large brand being bootstrapped?
Yeah, my family business actually in the jewelry and luxury jewelry and watch space. It's been bootstrapped for the last 40 years now.
In D2C, in D2C
Uh,
space.
it's the same thing. It's a brand, right? So, Snitch, you guys heard of Snitch? It's on Shark Tank. They do 20 CR plus per month now in sales. There are Noise. Have you guys heard of Noise? They must be doing 600, 700 crore plus a year of sales now. Maybe even more than that, actually. I think they crossed 1000 CR mark, bootstrap business. So, I think there are lots of businesses that can be built bootstrapped. Businesses that usually have a linear trajectory where founders are able to generate profit, acquire customers at a reasonable customer acquisition cost. I think the idea of building an online e-commerce business that only raises money is incorrect. Yes, I did raise money. Yes, it did help me a lot. Yes, investors like me, contrary to popular belief, add some value to businesses as well. But I think you can do it bootstrapped. It's possible, and we have seen enough examples of it.
Super. One last question. So, of late, there's a lot of noise in this ecosystem. Earlier, it was very refined, right? Like you had very limited podcasts. Now it's D2C everywhere. And whenever I talk to the founders, right, the fellow founders, they seem to be all okay and super fine and things like that. But down the line, I see them shut down their brand. End up. So whatever we see in social media is all in colors and light. So what are the filters a founder should have when it comes to a D2C brand?
I will say it was so much easier to build Dr. Vaidya's when I did, because there was no Instagram Reels when I started. There was no hundreds of podcasts on YouTube. There was no 20 award ceremonies a month. None of that existed. I think it's harder today. There's lots of noise. What I would tell founders is don't believe everything you see on social media. And remember that a bulk of your time should be spent as a horse with blinders in your office with your team building your business. Yes, things like these are good to open your mind. But if you're doing these 3 times a week, then you've got to rethink what you're doing. So I'm a big proponent of simplicity, of being in your business, being connected very closely to your business. And I think, look, the reality is, right, social media is a very false perception of reality. Like, I put a Instagram story about being in Goa over the weekend. People thought I went to Goa for 5 days. Someone messaged me, we were to do a call on Monday, and then it slipped my mind to call him. And then he didn't call me as well, so I sent him a message saying, hey, we didn't do a call on Monday. He said, I saw on Instagram you're in Goa. I said, boss, I went to Goa for 15 hours. I didn't go for 5 days to Goa. So I think it's a very false sense of reality. While it's great, it democratizes information, it gives you all access to so many amazing stories. I think it does not talk about the other side enough. Like I heard a very nice quote today. It took me 10 years to become an overnight success. It seems like that guy who's a unicorn just became a unicorn yesterday, right? But what is the journey that took that person to that place? What are the failures that person went through? How many near-death moments that person had where he or she thought they would be shutting down their company and then they sort of rose up from there? I think it's not talked about enough, but be rest assured that each and every person that you hear about, see on social media, watch their Instagram clips, etc., have all been through the same journey that you are going through.
And one last question. What are the top 3 metrics a founder should sit on, like have a eye on a daily basis?
Yeah, I looked at 5 things every morning. That was yesterday's data. So when I say yesterday's data, I mean that you got to check your data as an e-commerce or digital first business every day. 11 a.m. on the next day, I would check what was my revenue for the last day. What were the channels that I got that revenue from? Website, marketplace, which marketplace? What are the products that sold? At least top 5 products, I had a clear definition. How much money did I spend to acquire those customers? What was my marketing spend for that day? And so the last and final and most important metric is what is my ROAS, meaning how much money did I spend for how much revenue. If you can see these 5 metrics every day, you will be on top of your business. There are lots of other metrics like CTR, like website conversion rate, but all of these things derive from the 5 data points that I've told you about. So if you can see these 5 data points every morning, and I used to get it as a WhatsApp from my finance team every morning. Today you have tools and dashboards. We didn't have any of that, so we'd get a WhatsApp screenshot of an Excel sheet. But if you can look at these 5 numbers every day, I think you should be able to understand the health of your business.
Talking about D2C, right? So when compared to SaaS and other deep tech companies, I think D2C should be of more of human intervention and logistics oriented, inventory management and stuffs, right? So what is that you felt in the stage of 1 to 10 or 10 to 100 that you should have implemented in 0 to 1 itself? So
Okay, I think a very good question.
So that everything is automized.
I
and
would say
process-oriented.
firstly, not automized. I would have hired a sort of higher quality, more empowered team early on. I think I did a lot of things on my own. My wife and I did a lot of things on our own instead of sort of handing off responsibility or sort of empowering people in the team. And I think there's only 14 hours that you can work efficiently in a day. And if you're working 14 hours a day for like 300, 350 days a year, then your efficiency levels will go down as well. So that's one. Second thing is, I think I would have invested in customer service earlier.
Okay.
Whether it's automated or non-automated, just being close to the customer, I think I would have invested in that much earlier. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, I would have actually done that computer science class in college, which I didn't do because it seemed too hard. Because I had very limited knowledge of tech, and so I got taken for a ride a lot. While tech is not the basis of a D2C business, I had to learn it the hard way and I had to learn it myself. When the server went down and people gave me random reasons and I had no idea why, it was definitely challenging for me.
Categorize.
Anything that is core to your day-to-day business should not be outsourced if possible. But I see a lot of founders complaining about agencies, right? And okay, I don't blame the founders for complaining, but I think the biggest reason to complain about agencies is you see the data too late or you don't know how to read the data and it's not looking good to you, right? So I would say that before you outsource anything, at least the basics of that thing should be understood by you, which means if you outsource SEO, at least you should know what metrics to judge the agency on. If you outsource performance marketing, you should at least know what are the types of ads that can be run, what's a reasonable ROS in the category, what's a bad ROS in the category. If you're outsourcing, let's say for example, your customer service, you should at least know what a good customer call sounds like before you outsource the customer service. If you don't know that, then you will either be very happy without knowing whether things are going bad or be very angry because you don't know what's good in that space, right? So as long as you as a founder or founding team or core team in the business know the metrics, I think you're in a good place.
Thank you. I have a couple of more questions. Okay. Okay. One example of a brand that you say that you think actually stands out in social media, D2C brand.
Doing well in social media, The Whole Truth, Man Matters, Paradise. I think these brands are doing exceptionally well in social media. They are genuinely, so I think the thing that brands forget about social media is that when we consume things on social media, right? If you go to, let's assume you're not a brand owner, you're a customer who's on your Instagram feed, and you see a brand putting their product photo and putting 50% off on the price. You'll not even like the photo, right? Unless you're buying that product 10 times a year or something like that. So brands need to give more on social media. And so most of the content that actually works is content that adds value, educates the customer or teaches them something rather than selling something or pushing something onto them.
Okay. And probably one last question. One brand that actually took off really well, but then they, kind of fell for a completely different reason. Any one brand that you can, talk about? Yeah.
Bewakoof. It is a fantastic brand still. I think it was really, really, really big among college-going population, but they kept the price very low. Soul Store came and gave a slightly higher price product, became the more premium brand. Bewakoof was doing better than Soulstore for a while. Then all those college kids grew up. And when all those college kids grew up, their aspiration for Bewakoof went away. And they moved or graduated or something else. And so they were always getting the lower end of the pie and the customer would tap out. What you bought in college, you won't buy after college, but what you bought in your first 3 years of work, you may buy 7, 8 years later. So I think that's something they missed, but they are now reviving.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for answering all the questions.
Hi Vaidya, it was an insightful session. I come from a listed world. I just wanted to understand a lot of brands, big brands, be it Colgate, ITC, just using it for example, they are also starting D2C brands. So what is the kind of opportunity that is existing for startup world? When they are starting, obviously they'll not start from the scratch. They'll deploy the capital, they'll do inorganic expansion. As well as there are some brands which is starting fresh, organic, with the latest technology. So how do you see that?
I think it's a very interesting time that actually the large behemoths of FMCG of consumer are becoming interested in our channel. It shows that the brands created over the last 5 years have done something to make them actually take this step, which is a very hard step for them. I think there will be always the advantage of having huge capital, availability of distribution, and strong brand name. But with a large business comes the inability to move very fast, right? And so what you will see is 3 things. One, you will see some of these guys who create these D2C brands, they move too slowly, and so they're not able to achieve what they wanted to, but they still continue to do it because they have to do it, right? The second is you will see a lot of them acquiring D2C brands and using that to sort of fuel innovation in their organizations, which happened with us as well. And the third thing you will see is the smartest of them will actually create separate teams or separate micro businesses run by completely different people with different mindset to run the D2C brands. I think these are the 3 things you'll see, but there's lots of potential.
Thank you.
Hi, I run a company called giftingstoday.in. So we sell like customized gifts across India. So my question is, see, rather than the popular channels, Facebook and Instagram, so what could be the other channels we can concentrate for our marketing activities?
I think you got to think deeply where your customer is, right? So, for example, for us, we saw customers on TikTok. And so we became the top 10 ad spenders in India on TikTok because our ROS on TikTok was much, much higher than ROS on Facebook or Instagram, right? So whatever that place may be, it may be exhibitions, it may be offline pop-ups, it may be presence in creating your own store for gifting. It may be Facebook ads, it may be Instagram ads, it may be the use of Reels. You got to find that one channel that really your customer resonates with or cares, that you are adding value. That's outside of what everybody else is using. If you use what everybody else is using, there's a limited inventory available. Costs will be higher than everywhere else, and so you will face that same challenge of rising CAC.
Okay, that's actually we started to exploring some Quora ads and Pinterest something. So will that really work?
I think Pinterest will work better than Quora for you, given that you're a visual product.
Right. Okay, thanks for that. So the next question would be, so within Shopify and also outside Shopify, what are the tools which you think would be much effective for running the e-commerce business?
There are like hundreds of tools, so you got to be more specific.
Any such recommendations to everyone so that we
can... I can tell you tools from logistics to warehousing to marketing automation to plugins for your website to it's an endless list of tools, right? So to researching on Amazon, to marketing on Amazon, to inventory management, to warehouse management, to post-order management. So you'll have to be a little more specific on which part.
Then we'll ask you later then.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi. So everyone's been talking about how the consumer trends in India are changing. India is changing. The buying potential is different. What would you say are the top, or what would you say the changing consumer trends are in India now?
I'll talk about e-commerce specifically. I think that over the last 10 years, our country has become more accustomed and more comfortable buying things on e-commerce. And so it allows for a few things, right? First, it allows for more involved niche categories like jewelry and appliances and holidays, not flights, holidays and hotels and washing machines and fans to be sold online, right? So higher AOV, more involved products, including education products. People are signing up for 6-month online MBAs now, completely paying online as well, right? So I think that's the first thing. The second thing that's changing is there's a lesser reliance on COD as trust is being built towards brands, and you'll see this number coming down slowly and slowly and slowly. I did say we're still doing 2/3 COD orders, but that's much better than 90-95% when I started my business. The third thing you'll see is customers are much more fussy. If you give a customer an average or below average experience, they will talk about it. They may talk about it publicly, but they'll definitely talk about it privately. And so it's your responsibility and job to give a customer a delightful experience. Because if you do, they'll talk about it the other way as well. And they'll become proponents and advocates of your brand. So I think these are the few things that are changing. But I will say that it's not a sea change. It's not a different customer you're catering to. A 10 rupee packet of chips is still a 10 rupee packet of chips. Where 15 years later, there is more air and less chips in that packet of chips, but it's still at 10 rupees, right? So it's not a sea change. We're not sort of 360-degree change in terms of the way we consume, but there are marginal changes, premiumization, and the changes I talked about.
Thank you. Now, one more question. Your face has been all over my social media for the past few months. So I think we need to know what you're doing with your performance marketing.
Actually,
I had no idea what was happening with this event. I saw it on Instagram yesterday, and I literally just signed up.
So I ran an experiment very recently for the last 2.5 months. So I was not active on Instagram at all. I'm active on LinkedIn. For all of you guys who would have seen me on LinkedIn, you would have seen me for the last 2.5 years, etc. But I invest in brands, right? So I keep telling brands they should use short content on Instagram and Reels and all of those things, and they would say, okay, and how do we do it and stuff like that. And I come from the world of brand, right? I'm not a influencer, creator, that kind of thing. So I said, okay, I guess brand people don't know how this works. So let me go and become friends with some creators, because actually they know how to do it better than brands. And if brands can learn how to do it like creators can, then we're in a very good place. So I invested in a company called House of X, which is started by a friend of mine who's a creator called Raj Shamani. And so I said, dude, like, he's helping creators launch brands. And he said a very interesting thing to me. He said, Arjun, the people who understand the intersection of creator and business, that means creators don't get brand as well, and brands don't get content as well. The people who understand the intersection of this will be the people who are successful. So I said, okay, this is a very important insight for me as I invest in brands. I've invested in like more than 100 companies now. If I can give some information to founders to help them and help. I said, what's the best place to start? I have to do it myself, right? If I don't do it myself and I'm giving you gyan saying, hey, your Instagram follower count is only 10,000, you should grow it organically to 25,000, and I have 2,000 followers on Instagram, then how am I able to tell you anything, right? So I said, okay, to all my founders who are in my portfolio, I said, I'll start it on my own page. And so I started creating whatever these creators told me, you start doing reels, etc., all of that. So I got a team to help me film these reels, and I started doing these reels. And then that's why over the last 60 days that I've been doing this, now my follower count has grown to some 80-90,000 from 8-10,000. Maybe that's why you're seeing it more. But I'm doing it consciously as an experiment, not to become famous or become a creator. I have no want, goal, or anything in relation to that. But it's just so that I can understand this algorithm better, so I can be more informed to talk to any brands that I've invested in or that I'm helping to do it. But I think the other place you would have seen me is I teach a e-commerce course through one of my angel portfolio companies called Growth School. So they run some ads, so you have seen it there as well.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sai Prasad. I am from Frelish Foods Private Limited. We are a food and beverage manufacturing company producing artisanal cafe products for the Chennai market. So,
what does that mean?
Artisanal cafe products. So the idea is that today, either you buy a lassi, for example, right? If you buy a Amul lassi that is at $25, it is well packed. It's a Tetra pack, but the value that you get from that, the fat content, the specification, it is not rich in its ingredients. It's a quality product though, but it's not rich. Today, if you go to a good restaurant and if you want to have a lassi, you'll have a thick lassi which has that fat, that will not be pouring out of the glass. So we see that there's a market, there's a consumer who's not able to, afford that level of product on a daily basis. So we are bringing that like a cold coffee with actual coffee powder, like a lassi with a thick fat cream, right? With a lemonade which will have some sabza seeds, That we like to have a shikanji on the road, but if you may not get it on a in a packaged form. So we are trying to buy that cafe products into a packaged formats for the Chennai market. So we have started with institutions. Absolutely, would have loved if they would have allowed me to, send samples here. Yes, so we are into the Chennai market for the last 8 months and selling around 1 lakh units a month now. So my question today is that we have bootstrapped this business and we are supplying through our captive manufacturing and cold chain systems that we have. So we are nearing a break even and in 4 to 5 months. So as we are approaching to our first round of investments, I want to understand from an investor point of view, when is the right time to go for an investment? It is post break even or now, so that you are rightly valued.
If you're reaching break even, do it. It'll just make your P&L look better. So wait 1-2 months, break even, and then that P&L looks better. But I think now when you have traction, it's the right time to think about it.
Okay. And secondly is that how do we evaluate our valuation? See, because there will be a revenue that we'll be able to show. So when they are setting for a valuation, definitely the ask is based upon our future plans. But how do we value the ask, right? It based upon our projections and what we have for the next 2-3 year in plan, or like it's really.
See, if it was that easy and it was based on your projections, then you would say $1 billion in 3 years and then get a valuation based on that, right? So I think it's based on two things. It's not based on your projections.
Okay.
It's based on your current business and execution, and then the potential to scale from there. That potential to scale from there comes from your existing execution, a little bit about how you're able to articulate the plan, but finally, it's what the investor thinks is the potential of the business, because if the investor invests at X, in the next 3 years, they want to see at least 3, if not 5X.
Okay.
Right? So that's how the valuation is derived. It seems like I said something very qualitative, but it'll eventually boil down to, at your stage, either a multiple of sales or two people sitting in a room saying, we need so much money, we think the value is so much. Right?
What
because
multiples of sales would be the right?
I think it would be at the lower end of the spectrum of what I said, 2 to 5, because yours is a B2B2C business and not a B2C brand.
Right.
So it would be at the lower end, but that's okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, same company. Now we are mainly in institutional sales. Okay, but our product as such has got a very short shelf life, about 14 days. So it's not an ideal place to sell it in retail. So that is why we've actually come, because we want to know whether would it be suitable. Is it a suitable product to sell D2C? I mean online.
I would say no. I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a 14-day shelf life. You'll place in your warehouse. It'll take 2-3 days to sell. If it takes more than 2-3 days to sell and you get an order from Guwahati, the product is expired by the time it reaches Guwahati. So, yes, you can do D2C if you like in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, maybe only metros where the delivery will happen in time. But very hard with such a short shelf-life product, honestly. I would not focus on it.
So I can only focus on in Chennai. I can't go pan-India.
You can go pan-India in metros.
How? It depends on a cold chain management, right? So
People deliver cold chain products. There is a cold chain supply, but it's complicated and expensive.
complicated. Okay, thank you.
Hi. I wanted to know, what are your top 3 most financially successful investments that you've made out in your portfolio, and also what besides Dr. Vaidya's, and what differentiates them amongst the others?
I would say my portfolio is like very young. My oldest company is like 24 months old. So right now, other than 2 companies have exited, all the returns are on paper. But some of those returns look like 20 times, 30 times, 35 times. Now, it looks all good on paper. When the money comes to me, then I'll really know what happened. But the best investment ever that I could have made was Dr. Vaidya's. Because in 4.5 years, my family made 35 times their money in cash. So, I never made a single investment while I was running Dr. Vaidya's, because the best investment I could make was time into my business. Now I'm not running Dr. Vaidya's, so I make other investments. Yeah, we have some hopefully good investments. Some of them will do well. I think the feedback cycle is too short. I've exited 2 companies, but the 2 I've exited, I made 2 times my money because it was like 1.5 years, right? So in such a short time, you can't really unlock the alpha as such.
What do you think differentiates a good start? What do you look at when you're deciding?
That I can answer. I think 50% on founder. Who is that person? Why will they fight through tough times and why do they have a right to win? 20% on market size from my investment. Is there actually a big enough market from the time I invest? Because a lot of times in consumer, people create businesses for themselves or their needs. And actually our needs may not be the needs of India, right? So 20% on a scope of market from investment, and then 30% is standard stuff. It's business and team. So it'll be like revenue, gross margin, bottom line profile, contribution margin, repeat rates, customer acquisition costs. And then is there a team other than the founder to be able to execute that?
Thank you.
Hi Vaidya. So I'm Sharath. I'm running a D2C brand called Great Indian Sweets and Great Indian Beverages. In Great Indian Sweets, what we do is we source all the authentic and traditional products from different districts of Tamil Nadu and Andhra. Recently, we onboarded Andhra, and probably we are onboarding next year Karnataka and Kerala. So the question that I'm supposed to ask is like I have like, during festival time, our sales goes well. It's absolutely very well. During other time, the sales in online in our own website goes down. But however, when we do pop-up stalls in offline like shopping malls and other premium cafe and restaurants, the sales goes again up. So the meaning where we give all for sample tasting and all those things, out of 10 people, 7 people buy it after tasting. So you suggest me to focus on only on online, or you like few of our customers and people like, they are asking, why don't you just come up with the sweet shops, offline stores?
Yeah, I think, look, the data is telling you that sampling really works.
Yeah.
There is ways to do sampling using online means, whether it's platforms like Smitten or using platforms like Swiggy to do sampling with every order, etc., and a specific TG depending on what the customer buys. So you can do sampling using, let's say, Instamart and stuff. But yes, if the data is really telling you that offline stores are working, you should try one or two and see where that goes.
Yeah,
sure.
and in marketplace, Swiggy and Zomato is going well, but not in our own website. In normal
but if you
time.
think about behavior,
Yeah.
how many times would you buy a mithai from a brand's website versus going with the ease of Swiggy and Zomato? It's not so common, right?
Okay.
So it's not bad that they're buying from Swiggy and Zomato.
Okay.
Yes, you can incentivize them by giving them a discount to come to your own website, a free product if they come to your own website, etc. But if you think about aggregate customer behavior, it will be towards Swiggy and Zomato. That's how behavior is right now.
Okay, so what we thought of, like instead of setting up the store, setting up a cloud kitchen, and we just across Chennai. And
Why not set up a cloud kitchen which has a front-facing store? You have to take 200 square feet for the cloud kitchen.
Yeah, that's right.
Put it front-facing, so you can do both.
Okay.
Wow Momo has been very successful
Yeah,
because
that's right.
more than 75% of their cloud kitchens actually are front-facing stores.
Okay. All right. So that's the thing. And one more question is, in Great Indian Beverages, we have organic milkshakes that has a shelf life is hardly 2 days. So for that, we are using only on offline. And we also have a red wine. It's a semi-dry wine, Zenfandel, but non-alcohol. The thing is, like, we don't add any chemical or any preservative, just like other wines. The specialities, again, it goes well on offline, but we have issues in running ads. So suddenly, Meta, like...
You can't run ads.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
illegal to advertise alcohol in our country. You'll have to
But
do
it's a
surrogate.
non-alcohol.
But if it says wine, then they will block your ad, right? So
Yeah.
you'll have to find a surrogate way to do it.
All right.
Like fruit juice or something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi. I am a travel consultant for a travel experiences platform called Get Your Guide, and also starting to become a vegan consultant. But my wife and I just recently moved back to India and trying to understand what new venture we could potentially build for the long term. I'm curious to know your thoughts between following demand and creating demand. So you gave an example about how maybe someone searching on Google for a specific product, you can easily capture them, but then you can also suggest to them, hey, you might be interested in this. I'm curious just to know your thought process over this.
Look, market creation is hard. If you're able to crack it in market creation, the value you will create is much, much more than following the demand. But the chance of failure is much, much higher in market creation, right? So, for example, we're investors in a company called Sula, which is IPO'd right now. Took 22 years for him to create that market of wine. He stayed patient and he's IPO'd the company. He's created lots of value for himself. But you have to have that level of patience if it takes time to create the market. I am gluten-free and sugar-free. Not vegan yet. It's really small in our country right now. And it'll take a lot of time. You will find the problem with these kind of businesses is around you there'll be a lot of people who display that kind of behavior. But aggregate to build a large business may not be enough volume in our country.
So I have a question for you both. So you both have years and years of experience in your business, right? So from tomorrow, if you start your business from scratch, what are the 3 mistakes you will avoid? With
I'm
your
letting
years of
Vasan take this question. I'm tired of answering questions.
What are the 3, with your learned experience in your business, if you start your business from scratch, what are the 3 costliest mistakes you will avoid it?
Okay. Every brand has its own DNA. You should not copy what others is doing. If it's working for others, just copy paste won't work for you. That's point number 1. You'll have to identify what's more needed for your business. That's the first thing I would look at. Second thing is, you can't do everything by yourself. Team is much essential from day one. Once you establish PMF, you need to hire people for their strengths, not for their weakness. So that's the second thing. Third thing I would say is have an eye on finance. Bottom line is everything, whatever is it. Like in case you don't get funding, etc. Bottom line only can make you survive for the to proceed. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. One more question.
I have one last question for Arjun. Where does one write to you when they wanted to pitch?
Yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn, email, however you want to reach me.
What's your mail ID? Guys, you'll have to note it. If you miss this.
I think write to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, I'll give you my email instead of everyone noting it down.
So my question is to both of you. The noise on Instagram and content marketing is so much. And this generation D2C, everybody's depending on virality to blow up their sales. And not everybody can afford a virality, right? So what would be your approach towards a marketing campaign for a D2C brand? Because almost there's a lot of noise is there.
Very simple answer to that question. You can't pay for virality. So if you can't pay for virality, the only thing you can solve for is consistency. If you pay 10 lakh rupees to produce a video and it doesn't go viral, you're in deep trouble, right? So just consistency. And consistency, if it is genuinely value-adding information from a marketing perspective that customers resonate with, it will compound.
Know your customers. Every brand success is at the feet of the customers. There's no other go. I think you would also agree to it, right? Like to understand the agreement. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
So yeah, thank you so much guys for joining the session. So Mr. Arjun Vaidya, so he'll be leaving in another 1 hour. So we are going to wind the session. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming all the way from different parts of Tamil Nadu to join this particular event. And I want to thank Arjun bro. So I met him last year. It's been nearly a year, I think. Yeah. So I traveled nearly 35 hours to meet him. I booked a train. I didn't have enough money to book a flight during that time. So I booked a train. I traveled 35 plus hours to meet him. And in the first interaction before meeting him in person, I just sent him a text on Instagram. So I sent him, hi bro, myself Nitin Alexander. So I'm trying to build a community for entrepreneurs and I am traveling all the way from Chennai to meet you in Delhi. So is it possible to meet you? So he was like, yeah, you come, we'll meet up. So I thought, okay, someone from his team is replying. I didn't really thought like he is replying. So when I went to the event, I saw him, he was like chilling with all the founders and everyone. I was like very, very anxious to go and talk to him. But the minute when I went with him, I said, bro, hi bro, myself Nitin Alexander. Hey Nitin, how are you? You are the Madras the Underdog, right? I was like shell shocked, the amount of, the keen to details is like keen to attention to people. That is something I admired from you, bro. Thank you so much for that. A big round of applause. So from that moment onwards, I was like keeping in touch with him on Instagram. Whenever he posts a lot of educational content on Instagram. So I used to text him on Instagram. Hey, nice content, bro. Nice. So he's also been following my journey, and I've been following his journey for nearly a year. So the year of it's been nearly a year when we started this Underdogs of Madras community. So we want to bring a lot of underdog entrepreneurs, enablers, and creators, and we want to connect them with the top successful people, and we want to build a platform, a community. So that's where we started. And it's been a year right now, and we are successfully, this is our 5th edition right now. We have been doing different editions, and one of the common feedback that we got from a community is do some industry-focused event so that everyone will get benefited. So the first industry-focused event that we did was called FoodieCon, where we brought all the food entrepreneurs, food influencers and creators, brands such as A to B, Junior Kupana, Anjapar, all the brands have participated. And this is our second industry focused event. And this is what many of our community members are suggested to do something related to D2C. So that's what we have initiated this process. And from the initial stages of ideation of this event, Mr. Vasant Bro, he's been constant support. So he's one of the first chief guests who came in our first edition. So he and his wife Nisha ma'am, they both attended our first edition as chief guests. From that moment, we've been keeping in touch with them. He's been following our journey, and he's been very kind enough to come to our event. Thank you so much, Vasant Bro. Big round of applause. And more importantly, I want to thank the sponsors as well, because without the sponsors, we would not be able to pull off this event in a short. So, been very gracious to come as sponsors, and we have Start Insights, but the founder, he is not able to make it. They have also been very gracious to come as sponsors for this event. So, any of the founders who are looking to, grow your business or scale your business, or any terms of funding or investing, you can approach Southern Songs, you can approach Grad. They've been helping a lot of brands to scale the business, invest in business, and the right founders. So you can make use of this opportunity. So next 1 hour, please spend some time talking to all the founders. We have Vimidi Jewelers, Kritish Bro is here. Thank you so much for joining the event. We have Fully Me, one of the famous, renowned brands of Chennai. Mr. Anand Bro is here. Thank you so much, bro. And we have a lot of brands who supported us, like Great Indian Sweets, Berry Cubs, and we have Juicy Chemistry brand who, when I told Mega, Arjun is coming to town, can you send something? She was immediately sent a lot of goodies to give it to Arjun Vaidya, bro. Thank you so much, Juicy Chemistry team. And we have a lot of D2C founders here. And Arnachalam, thank you so much for making to the event. He's been from the first edition, he's been coming to our event. So thank you guys for all the support and love. So if any one of you guys wants to join our community, you have our bottle, we have placed our QR code in it. You just have to scan it to join our community. So we'll be doing a lot of industry focused events as well in the coming few days. And we want to keep it very intimate gathering. We don't want to bring lots of people into it, like 100, 200. We can do it, but we don't want to do it because you won't be able to get that intimate, relationship with all these people. So we are planning to keep it like 50, 75. So that's why this is the number. And we want to do it in a very cozy atmosphere so that you guys will feel the comfortability level. So that's why we chose this place. Hope you guys love this space, love this ambience. Thank you so much for the venue partner as well. And this is our final, and I want to thank one of my team who has put like solid efforts to make this event happen. Thank you so much, my team. And I want to thank Sound of Stories founder Rohini. She's been a very big support for me to pulling off this event. Without her, this event would not be possible, because a lot of times I felt a lot of pressure. This event was supposed to happen last week, but it got postponed and I was in a very different mindset. So she has been the rock support pillar of mine. So thank you so much, Rohini, for helping me to pull this off. Thank you. So yeah, we'll finish it off. Like a lot of goodies have come for you, bro. So we'll give it to you and we'll finish it off. So first,
so he has done by himself that I think can have.
Then we have gifts from Berry Cubs. I request Janani to come. Thank you so much, Janani, for graciously giving us these goodies. And we have goodies from Juicy Chemistry. So Juicy Chemistry team is not here, so I will give this gift. Next we have goodies from the co-being. Yeah, Jalakshmi. Thank you so much, Jalakshmi. And we have goodies from Great Indian Sweets. Mr. Sarath, bro. It's so big. And this is a gift from our side, bro. From Underdogs. Thank you, boss. And we also have gift for Vasant, bro. And from Kobe. உங்களுக்கு தான் வரும். From Juicy Chemistry. ஆமா. And from Berry Cups. And this is from our team. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, I think everything is done. Goodies is done. So in future, if any of your brands, I think a lot of brands are here. If you want to contribute something to our event, definitely we would be very much happy to give your products to everyone, showcase your products. So I think we have set visually. And yeah, special thanks to Cooked Brand as well. I don't think Cooked Brand is here. They have not come, but they have also given a lot of goodies. And Gaurav has given products, Polka Pop as well. Super. Once again, thank you so much, guys. Thank you all. Thank you. A big round of applause to all the participants. Thank you.